is speed? Are you born with it, or can you train it?
I think it's both. Yeah, I think some people are born fast, or they had the genetics that help them be fast, obviously, because they have parents who were good athletes or whatever. And then I think there are people who train it and they get better. I mean, I think everybody has a ceiling on where they're going to be able to eventually end up, but I think it's been shown time and time again that you can improve your physical attributes, whether it's just speed or strength or jumping ability through training. So, yeah, I mean, you can be born fast, but you can also train to become a better athlete in a bunch of different categories.
So would you say like everybody would need this kind of training?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody should do it. I mean, at the end of the day, I think in order to be good at your sport, you're trying to maximize your athleticism as well as your specific skill within your sport. So, I don't think athleticism can do anything but benefit you as long as you are, putting that time and effort into what it requires for you to be good at your sport. Athleticism can't hurt you; it can only help you.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Did you do any of this when you were growing up?
I mean, yeah, when I was growing up, uh, I was big into. Well, I mean, I lifted weights, but like more like as a bodybuilder. Like 3 sets of 15, and I mean, I was consistent. From my sophomore, my junior year, I went to the gym. I started taking it real serious. So I went to the gym every day, and I went from being about 200 pounds to being 225 pounds.
Ooh.
And I think that, you know, going from sophomore year, junior year, I think it did help me. I think I got stronger. I mean, I don't know if I got faster. I mean, I was able to maintain my ability to be quick and change direction efficiently. And obviously, being bigger than everybody else in high school gave me the opportunity to make, plays and stuff like that. But I saw going into my senior year doing the exact same thing didn't necessarily yield the same benefits. I think I was a little slower, and I think it held me back a little bit. And then when I got to college, I mean, we kind of covered the same exact thing. So, I mean, I didn't necessarily become a better athlete. I mean, I could dunk in high school. I got to college, and I don't even know if I could, get back up there and dunk no more. And I mean, I just think that just shows you, it's an athletic trait. I could dunk in
Right.
high school at 225. When I got to college and I gained like 10 more pounds, I couldn't jump that high no more.
Right. So when you went from 200 to 225, was that like based on eating, or like were you just like gorging yourself, or was that
No,
like
no,
a
I
mix,
think
like
that goes back to kind
lifting?
of some of them genetic things. I think I was one of those athletes that could look at a weight and I get bigger. So I think, lifting weights was something that my body adapted to really well. And so you could see it through, I guess, all the work that I put in. I don't think everybody's going to have that same, effect when they lift weights, but I do think that lifting weights for a specific reason is important. If you're trying to get faster, you definitely need to lift weights to get stronger, not
Mm.
necessarily to look bigger. So I think there's different reasons as to why the weight room is beneficial to an athlete's ability to become faster, or stronger, faster, whatever.
All right. Well, that like leads into like kind of a next myth that people say, right? Like lifting weights is going to make you slower. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that lifting weights can make you slower. I think that if all you do is lift weights for a prolonged period of time, I think that it can make you slower because it does lead to losing like the bouncy, the bounciness, or just elasticity of your ability to like bounce off the ground, which is going to help you obviously produce force in a short period of time. I think it's going to lead to you being tight, which some people, you can obviously see if you do it for a prolonged period of time, it kind of makes you tight in your movement. And then I think three, it messes with your coordination, and I think the easiest way that I try to explain that to the athletes that we get the opportunity to work with is, if you went and you did a crazy bench session and then you went outside to try to shoot a basketball, the accuracy of shooting that ball would be horrendous, or throwing the football would be horrendous, or doing a lower body squat workout, you know what I'm saying? Then you kick a soccer ball or something, like your accuracy is horrible. So like that's the acute effect of, lifting heavy weights, that's the acute effect of lifting heavy weights in that short period of time. But if you consistently do that all the time, then you will start to see long term effects from that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think that if you do lift weights and you do, sprint and you do, apply metrics and you lift weights with the intent of using it to help you with those movement based things, I think that they can be beneficial. So I think there's negatives, and I think there's positives. It just really depends on how you use the tool to help you become better at whatever you're trying to do. So
Would you say that you focus more on like max lifting or like power lifting or like a mix of both, or like how would one go about like implementing that kind of stuff into like their speed training?
I think it's honestly, I think it's a mix of like everything. I mean, I think early on, and I think all the textbooks say early on is really just kind of positioning yourself to be able to lift heavy weights. Like, you don't want people to get hurt, right? So you want to make sure that they're proficient in the movements, and then eventually, I mean, the goal is to get stronger. And so, in order to get stronger, you need to be lifting with, I wouldn't depend on your age. You don't need to be lifting with, not 90% all the time, but between like 75% and 85%, where you're actually having to push against it and, actually having to, strain a little bit, but not to the point to where you're losing a lot of technical proficiency. I think you can get stronger without losing the technical proficiency while still being pushed.
Right.
So I think it all depends, but I think that when you're younger or you're first getting into it and early in the off season, you're just literally doing, exercises, maybe, 8 reps, 3 times 8 reps, and just really working on getting in the right position and not necessarily straining a lot, but just getting yourself back acclimated to lifting. And then after that, I mean, really working in between that, 1 and 5 range and trying to improve your ability to produce force, for X amount of time. Mentors I've had told me that, I mean, you really only need to do that for 8 weeks, 2 months at the max, because once again we talked about those things in terms of being able to produce force quickly. That's our goal. If you prolong the time that you're producing, trying to increase your strength, you're going to start to make some of those short term negatives become long term negatives, and you don't really want that. So I think there is a period of time where you need to focus on strength, and then there's a period of time where you need to focus on producing force quicker.
Yeah.
So I guess a better way to say it was, there's a period of time you need to focus on producing force without a time constraint, and then there needs to be a period of time where you're focusing on producing force with the time constraint, and that constraint being in a shorter period of time. But that's not the entire program. That's just a small part of the program. That's your strength program, but then you got your speed program, and then you got your jump program, and you have to make sure that all of them are working together to eventually make the athlete better at their task, which
Right.
are all going to be general in what we do, right? If you help somebody jump higher, that's general because they have to be able to use that ability within their sport. If you help someone sprint, right, that's still going to be get faster. That's just going to be general because you have to use it within their sport. And then um, I think so. I think that everything that we do is still general, but it can help with specific skills if you have the skill and mastery of your sport to be able to effectively utilize them.
Right. I know that you said that you lifted a lot of weights. I mean, you went from 200 to 225 like really fast, right?
I mean, I wouldn't say really fast. I mean, it happened over off season. So, I mean, it happened from basically the end of my sophomore year in football, which would have been actually no, it probably happened like within a 4 months period
Yeah.
because I played basketball too. So once basketball was over, I really kind of locked in into it, and I lifted and did all those things, and we ran too, but like it wasn't speed training.
Mm.
It was like we gonna run a mile or just warm
Mm.
up. You know what I'm saying? It was straight bodybuilding, which
Mm.
once again, I mean, I think it was helpful for a period of time, and as a high school athlete, it gave me a lot of confidence knowing that the work that I was putting in was showing itself when I would go lift weights, and people would go, oh man, you're so big, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
like that didn't necessarily make it as useful to my sport as I thought it
Yeah.
would have, or built me a great foundation for um, being able to, I guess, utilize things better in college. Because in college, I mean, everybody knows if you play, they want to see you get bigger and they want to see you get stronger. Depending on, I guess that's an old school way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
But like, they're not necessarily always addressing your ability to become a better athlete. And for somebody like me, I felt like I had a really great work ethic. At least I felt like I did. There's probably some things I could have done better, right? But I really learned the sport. I really understood the scheme of what was going on. I understood, in terms of like how the sport is supposed to be played, understanding what the office trying to do, you understand what my role is. Like I understood all of those things, right? and I technically worked at my position to get better. But the things that I lacked, was athleticism for sure, and then maybe a little mindset. So they both kind of went hand in hand. But I do believe that if I would have been a better athlete or felt more, or if I would have seen my athleticism grow, I feel like my confidence would have also grown because I would
Right.
have felt more confident in my ability.
Yeah.
Um,
But do you think that like that lifting that weights and gaining that much weight in a short amount of time hurt or helped your speed?
um, I I think I probably stayed about the same in high
Okay.
school. Yeah, so I can't like confirm or deny. All right, I think, but I do. I mean, knowing what I know now, I mean, I don't necessarily think that it was the most beneficial thing. I think it would probably been better to maybe gain 10 pounds, be faster, and get a little stronger than gain 20 pounds and maybe stay the same speed my entire high school career.
Yeah.
Like I mean, unhitched the trailer.
Yeah.
That's
Let's all look at this picture right here. Look at this picture of Airius in high school. Crazy. Crazy.
straining with everything. That looked like I lift weights.
Yeah. It looks like you eat weights.
Yeah,
But yeah.
unfortunately.
You said that when you did conditioning, you would go out and run miles. So I think tell like your perspective on conditioning, like kind of like what you would do, what others you see others do, if you think that's beneficial, or like where people need to move towards, like with conditioning for specific sports.
Um, I'll just go with what I do now. So like if I wanted an athlete to condition, and every athlete is different. So I do think, that athletes should probably get GPS. I think GPS is good. I think it's great to use within your sport, not necessarily because it's going to show you how fast you're running, but it's going to show you how much you're running and the speeds that you're running at, so that your training can be a little bit more specific.
And recovery time, right?
Well, recovery time, yeah, but just more like the amount you're running. I mean, obviously, it's going to show you recovery time within specific bouts and things like that. And you can watch the game to get some of that stuff right. How long a
Yeah.
timeout is, how much break you get in between plays, or different things like that. But really, just like the overall volume and intensity that you're running at.
So like would go running a mile or like a couple miles be good conditioning for somebody who plays,
I mean, for
a team
somebody
sport?
who plays a sport that requires speed and power, I don't necessarily think that going out there and just running miles is going to be great.
So like what sports would that like be considered?
So I would say specific sports that I know for sure. I mean, there's some sports that I think teeter um, on the verge. Like I think lacrosse and soccer may be slightly different because for some positions, I think your position can also
like
be specific.
midfield.
Yeah, your position can also be specific to the type of conditioning you need. Like you said, midfield example. Like I mean, they running fast, but they running a whole field compared to like somebody who's an attacker or somebody who's a defender. Like they're not running the entire field, so their conditioning may need to look different than the person who's running in midfield. You know what I'm saying?
Or softball, baseball.
Yeah, softball, baseball. I mean, come on now. I mean, let's not be. I'm not. You play softball, obviously, not being disrespectful, but like, come on now. It's only short bursts and a lot of standing.
Yeah.
So if you're playing softball or baseball and you're going out there running miles, you're kidding yourself. Why are you doing that? Unless you like doing it, great. But that's not making you better at sport.
Yeah. So then, how would you say someone should condition for those kinds of sports?
I think someone can run tempos. I think tempos have a lot of great benefits. Obviously, it's going to help you with just like your cardio and things like that. But I think the real good benefits of doing tempos is one, they run at a faster speed, so you can run the same volume of, you can run the same distances, but you can run them at a higher speed, which I think is going to have a little bit more transfer. And you can run them with better positions or mechanics, which is going to not eventually, is going to help you increase the specific muscles that require you to run fast. And so I think that tempos are a great tool to be able to do that. I think that doing high intensity training, basically doing like 30 seconds on, 15 seconds off, 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off, doing those type of workout routines are also helpful because it helps to increase your metabolic conditioning. And it's a little bit more similar to like what you're going to be asked to do compared to running continuously really, really slow and probably running with bad technique. And, I think it's a lot of bad things that come with it more than good. Like a lot of kids be like, oh, my shins hurt. Well, yeah, you was running horribly for however many steps for a long period of time, rather
Yeah.
than cutting it down, cutting the distance down, per rep, running the same total distance and getting more out of it, because now you're running it with better technique. You're getting better contacts when you hit the ground, and you're running faster. So for me, I think tempos and doing circuit type training are going to yield better benefits than running a mile the same way the whole time.
Mm. I mean, that makes sense.
Hopefully, I mean, I seen some good benefits out of it for
Yeah.
my athletes. So I'm definitely a big proponent of it, and we've even tried some different versions of tempo runs too, to try um, to
Just
try
change it up.
well, not just change it up, but try to be, I guess, a little bit more specific to team sports. So,
Mm.
I call them multi directional tempo runs, but I mean, essentially, it's just backpedaling, shuffling, running, crossover running.
Mm.
That same distance, but just changing the movement pattern within that distance to create a
Mm.
little bit of variation, which I think also makes it a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Shout out to Zay. We hit those. I ain't hit them yet, but I'm going to.
Okay. So you said you played in the NFL for 60 seconds.
Yeah, 6 seconds for
6
sure.
seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Tell us a little bit about that experience. Like, what kind did you get drafted, or like what was your experience with the whole process?
Well, the experience with the whole process, without going like super far into like what I did my senior year, had a pretty good junior. Senior, not so great. Well, I mean, I thought it was still decent. It was good, but it wasn't necessarily to the standard I wanted it to be. And so, you do all the training and stuff, and I got to pro day, and well, I ran a 5 flat. I mean, even when I was coming out, I mean, people wasn't running what they run now at the position. I think what they run now,
It's
like
wild.
on average, yeah, on average, like what your average linebacker is running is
4, 6.
it's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Back when I was coming out, that was a unicorn. Now unicorns run 4.4s and they weigh
Yeah.
230 or 240 pounds, which is it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But I ran a 5 flat, which is horrible.
Yeah.
So
It's fun.
whatever opportunities I was going to have to be able to get picked up by a team, if I was even good enough to do that, didn't happen. But I did end up getting a opportunity. Shout out to John Richard, great guy.
And Christian Kranz.
And Christian Kranz and Christian Kranz. Sorry, Christian. Shout out to both of you guys for giving me an opportunity to do a rookie mini camp tryout. And the crazy thing is, John Richard gave me that opportunity, not knowing he wasn't going to be there. So he still lives in Raleigh to this day. And so when I see him, I always say thank you, because I'm super fortunate for the opportunity. And so I got to mini camp, and I was a smart football player. I understood my sport. I really applied myself to go. I really prided myself in understanding the game and being a smart football player. So I knew all the positions. So we had 2 days to kind of showcase what we could do.
Mm-hmm.
And on the last day, well, even before that, we were in the meeting rooms, and we ran the same defense that they ran. And so when they was asking all the questions, I was answering all of them in the back. And my coach was like, speak up. You got to let them know what's going on. And so I knew what was going on. It was pretty simple in what we were supposed to do. It came to the last day, and we had 3 different positions, the Mike, Sam, and the Will. And we was doing our team period, and I didn't come out once. I just got moved from Mike, Sam, and Will through the whole period. And, I think I did pretty good enough for them to be like, at the end of it, hey, we're going to sign you and we're going to cut this guy. So
Nice.
I guess what I prided myself in, I showed that I can do that.
Yeah.
And then I stayed all the way until the end, which I guess it was a cool experience. I got hurt going into the first game, which kind of sucked, but I thought maybe I would get cut, because I didn't think I thought what I did was good, but because I got cut and I couldn't play, I'm like, damn, they might get somebody else, and they didn't. They kept me, which was cool. I really appreciate that. And then I got to play in the last game. I thought I did pretty good. And then once I went up there to get, the next day came, and they was talking, and they was like, we're gonna need you to turn in your binder. So I went up there. I was like, man, I love everything that you've done, things like that. But then they told me, we just felt like one step, not fast enough, basically. Which
Mm,
I mean, I understand. I mean, at the end of the day, I thought the special team coach said it best. I mean, at the end of the day, there's 11 spots on offense and defense, and then you got times about two deep, so that's 44 plus the kicker, the snapper, and the punter. That's 47, and we got 6 spots left.
mm,
And to
mm.
make 53, and the people that they're going to choose are the people who are the quote unquote better athletes
Athletes.
because they can play special teams, and then
Mm,
they have position versatility to play on defense. And
yeah,
so I kind of lack those things. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I understood the game, but that lack of physical ability of being able to shake somebody and run past them and stack them, I didn't have that.
yeah.
And which is crazy because even in the last game, I played special teams in college and not like that. I wish I would take it more seriously, but
Mm,
I made 2 tackles on special teams, and I'm like,
yeah.
oh well, shit, I definitely got to make the team since I did that. And it didn't happen that way, which is good. I mean, which is okay. It's something that I'm good with. It's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing now, which is trying to help athletes understand it's great to understand your sport, to be skillful in your sport. But at the same time, you need to also be working at becoming as just as good an athlete as you are skilled at your sport. Because eventually, if you're trying to get to the highest level or reach your ceiling as an athlete, they're going to need to both be equal.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. So is that kind of like why you do what you do today?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it took me to get to that point to understand how important athleticism is in the grand scheme of reaching your ceiling as an athlete within your given sport.
Yeah.
Like my goal is to never let athleticism be a determining factor as to why you were not able to continue to progress.
Yeah.
And now everybody has a ceiling as it pertains to athleticism, but I think that we can do lot better job of helping athletes get closer to that ceiling rather than just I guess basically saying, well, I did everything I can. They can't get better, because I think there's a lot of people that are doing some, amazing things and helping athletes improve. And so I think it's on us as coaches to figure out what those things are, and then, obviously hold the athletes accountable to their goals. Like the athletes still got to be put the work in. The athletes still got to show up and be consistent with it. But if you are willing to do that, there are things you can improve.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for them to understand that.
So do you think that like college programs, professional programs, those kinds of things, do they want you to be like done, like already
Like a finished product?
finished product? Yeah. Or do they like look at you and see potential?
I mean, you listen. We did recruiting together, so more so Hannah. So I'm gonna let Hannah answer the question on when she reaches out to the college coaches about specific athletes, and this is mainly football. Um, but I think it can definitely transfer to other sports. What did the college coaches tell you?
They definitely look at like potential, but they want to see certain things before
Like,
they get there. Creating separation,
what's that require?
speed.
Mm, okay, keep going.
um, what else? I mean, it all has to do with their ability to move fluid, right? Um, being able to get in and out of cuts, routes, making tackles. I mean, you have to be like a standout.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're putting together like a highlight film, right, for a kid or whatever, the first 30 seconds has to capture their attention. First 10 seconds. I mean, like these have to be bust in place from the jump to be able to like have them even like finish through your entire highlight. If you only have like one play or like you were sporadic about like putting it, it's just not gonna be good for you.
So the things that jump out on film are you think they're
Sacks,
you think they're skill based
tackles.
things, or you think they're some
No,
probably
it's like freak athlete stuff. Really.
like that
I
looks
mean,
like a
there's
good athlete. We're gonna take them.
right, exactly, yeah. If you can show that you can play both both sides of the ball too, even better.
Here, but I mean, I think it just goes to show that when someone's scouting somebody, obviously,
Your athleticism is what
matters.
separates you apart. Yeah.
Oh man, they both can run routes. Shit, but
Right.
he can take it to the crib.
Exactly. Like this person has someone on him all the time, whereas this person has like so much separation.
We heard
Right.
that a
Like,
lot.
yeah.
Yeah, I just, I think it's important for athletes to understand how important athleticism is in the grand scheme of trying to reach their ceiling as an athlete in whatever sport they play. Athleticism can do nothing but enhance your ability if you have the skill and
Right.
understanding of your sport.
Right.
If you like what you heard today and you want to learn more, go ahead and subscribe to our channel down below. Thanks for listening.